What is going on, you guys? It is your boy Sooplex, and again, we are back doing another 16:9 widescreen video. I know if you guys come to this channel, you're used to me doing a bunch of vertical videos because I like to record everything, admittedly, on TikTok because that's usually where I record my videos. But, you know, today, I said we're going to boot up the old computer and we're going to go live on here. And today, we're talking about a topic that I'm no stranger to. Now, I've talked about this company well before I actually blew up on social media, on TikTok and Instagram. I talked about this company way back in 2018, 2019, COVID era, and that is New Japan Pro Wrestling. They're having their annual Dominion show coming up this Sunday, June the 14th or 15th, I believe. I'll get the date correctly at some point. But they have their annual Dominion show coming up, and if there's one thing I will not do is miss Wrestle Kingdom and miss Dominion. And I looked at the card, I said, you know what? Is it the best Dominion card I've seen? No. But there's some matches on here that I feel like I must see. There's some killer banger matches that I got to see. And there was one guy that I really wanted to talk about this show with. And it is a man who has been going through quite a journey with discovering not only New Japan, but all different facets of professional wrestling outside of WWE. You've seen the stash. You know the face. I'm, of course, here with DanteOnDeck. How you doing, brother?
What's up, guys? I'm doing great, man. Hey, great introduction. I appreciate you having me on. You said I am on a journey with New Japan and stuff, but I also feel like I'm on a journey for myself, finding myself right now while I'm finding all this bits and pieces of wrestling outside of WWE. But nah, man, it's been a blast getting into it. I'm learning a lot. I'm seeing a lot of great wrestling, and I'm very excited to watch Dominion for the first time live with you and kind of go over the card and see what we have going on. I'm amped for this. I really am.
I'm amped to talk about it with you too. So before we go too deep into this card, let me ask you a couple questions just to warm everybody up to the idea of where you started from. So how early have you started watching New Japan? Like, when did you start getting into the promotion?
What, a week and a half ago, maybe?
he's fresh as a daisy. We're just popping his cherry when it comes to New Japan.
Literally, I have the freshest cherry in the world right now. But yeah, literally last Saturday, we talked about this before. I was bored. I had nothing going on, and I just in the back of my head, I've always like, New Japan, I know they have a streaming service, and I've been wanting to, start watching things, but I just didn't know where to start. I never knew where, and I was like, you know what, fuck it. Like, I'm just gonna get it. I'm gonna watch the Omega Okada matches. I decided, because those everyone raves about those matches, like the greatest matches of all time, 7 stars. I'm like, okay, let me see for myself. I don't know. Do I have to say anything? Like, I mean, once I watched those 4, it just was a snowball effect, and I got into more and more, and I fell in love with it. So yeah, I've been watching it like every single day. I feel like I've watched at least like 2 or 3 matches for the last week and a half, and I genuinely enjoy it. Like, it's such a refreshing alternative and just something so different than what I'm used to seeing. And I hate myself for not getting into it sooner, but better late than never. So.
I know it's exciting hearing that, because it's very similar to my story. For all of you who don't know, I started getting into New Japan in 2018. So right around November 2017, there was rumblings that Chris Jericho was going to start a program with Kenny Omega. Now, mind you, Chris Jericho was in WWE at the time. So everyone's like, oh, that's not going to happen. He's in WWE. There's no way they're going to let him go. And then during New Japan Pro Wrestling, King of Pro Wrestling, in November 2017, the promo popped up. Chris Jericho says, January 4th, 2018, Wrestle Kingdom 12, I'm challenging Kenny Omega. And the internet blew up. Because never to the day that even right now. I mean, right now, WWE's in a period where now they're more open to working with other promotions. But in 2018, that was foreign. That was foreign. For them to 100%. Land their talent to another promotion. Now, what we didn't know at the time was that Chris Jericho was on a handshake deal. But to everyone else at the time, he's working for WWE. What the hell is going on here? And he's agreeing to face Kenny Omega, who at the time is one of the hottest, and I mean the hottest prospects in professional wrestling in 2017, 2018. So this was just a humongous deal. And everyone's like, oh, well, Chris Jericho, he's not up to par. He can't size up to Kenny Omega. Like, everyone's kind of playing it up. Now, the promos going into it were wild. I don't know if you watched the promos going into it and everything.
I kind of remember bits and pieces of it from years ago,
it was
but
wild.
I wouldn't.
It was this Chris Jericho going around throwing things, cursing at everybody, and we're like, Chris Jericho just said fuck? Like, what is going on here? Then they had their match, so everybody will tell you that I can't think of a single IWC member that was not online at 4 a.m., 5 a.m. Eastern time on January 1st, 2018, watching that match.
If I was into it back then, I would have been one of those people.
Exactly.
1,000%.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I was one of them. And once I got to the match, I absolutely fell in love with the promotion.
That's awesome. Yeah, I definitely have to check out that match. That is one match that is on my list of suggestions I've gotten. I need to get to it at some point.
Yeah, that is the match for a lot of people that got them into New Japan. It was that match.
That's sick.
Right there. It really was Chris Jericho that kind of kickstarted everything. But enough about me. We got to ask 2 more questions. Just to get you more acquainted. The next question I have for you is, so of the New Japan matches you have seen so far, what would you say has been your personal favorite?
Ooh, which has been my personal favorite? That's a good question. I think my personal favorite, I'm thinking Will Ospreay and Shingo was a very hard-hitting and fun match.
See,
also, Will Ospreay,
because that's the one I recommended to you.
Is that the one? Okay, so funny you say that. So I remember your DM you sent me. You sent me a bunch of matches to watch, and I went through a few of them. That one is just like Shingo to me is like he has the perfect combination of everything. Like there was no weaknesses in his game in that match. But probably that, and I feel like it's an easy cop-out answer. But the second Omega Okada match, the one where it went to a draw at Dominion. Bro, I mean, it's so hard. It's crazy to think like I gave a ranking of where I'd put those 4 matches, but I feel like it's always going to be changing. But that match was just when it went to the time limit, I felt like my soul left my body.
It's incredible. And
it really was.
People will say that the 4th match is the best, and I can give with that opinion. For me, my personal favorite of the 2 is the second, like yours. I mean, I still to this day think about the Rainmaker spot where Kenny Omega collapses. I still think about it. It lives rent free to this very day in my head.
So that spot and the spot it was Omega and Ibushi versus the Young Bucks. The spot where Kenny wouldn't hit the V trigger on Matt, and Ibushi's like, hit it. He hits it, goes to the one-winged angel,
and Nick breaks it up.
He's just like, do it. And he hits him with a. I would have put down my life. I would have put down everything on that was going to be the end of the match. When he broke up that count, I had to pause the fucking match for like 5 minutes, like walk around my apartment. I was like, I couldn't believe what I just watched. But no, those 2 spots were 2 of the craziest things I've ever seen.
Oh, dude, have you seen Hangman and Kenny versus the Young Bucks?
Yes, that's because everyone said
kicks out at 1. That's like one of those spots where it's like
I didn't know that was the match that was from. So when that happened, I got amped up. I was like, "Come on!" I was like, "Let's fucking go!" Hangman hitting the one-winged angel when Omega wouldn't was fucking peak. That was the one match. Everyone's like, "You think the Golden Lovers Young Bucks was good? You need to check this one out." And that one was phenomenal.
All right. Well, I was going to ask you about your favorite wrestler, but I think you kind of answered it for us already. At least for right now. At least for right now. It could change.
Listen,
it could change.
So favorite and best. I think I can differentiate them a little bit. I think the best wrestler that I've seen with my own 2 eyes in the last week and a half is Kenny Omega. He just is doing things that's just like, how is this possible? I feel like every time I watch a match of his, he's doing something I've never seen before, something different. He's, at the end of the day, I think he might go down as like the best wrestler of all time, in my opinion. But favorite, like, I don't know. Oh, you know who my favorite is? Shinsuke Nakamura. I've been watching a lot of his matches. I fucking love his charisma, his aura, just his moveset, his style. And you're witnessing
prime Shinsuke Nakamura. This is what Shinsuke WWE fans thought they were going to get.
And I got a lot of shit for this. And I got a lot of shit for this because everyone's just like, oh, when he came over to WWE, he toned it down, whatever. But it's like, every time I watch a Shinsuke match in New Japan, I get more mad. I get more upset because I think about like what he turned into in WWE. Now, you can blame WWE, you can blame Shinsuke, whatever you want to do, but it is a night and day difference. And just seeing him at his best, I love him. He's the best.
Exactly. All right, so now that we got all that out of the way, now let's get into the Minions card. My cat is trying to get my attention for some reason, but he'll be okay. So, are you familiar with the Young Lion system in New Japan Pro Wrestling?
No. I'm going to be honest with you. There's a lot I'm not familiar with, so you're going to have to fill me in on a lot.
Okay, so the kickoff match you see right here, we're going to try our best to pronounce these names. These are guys I've never seen before.
I always say beforehand, I apologize if I mispronounce because
that's how I used to start my videos when I was in 2018.
I know it's going to happen.
Most of them now, I'm okay with, but the new ones, I'm like, I don't know. So the kickoff match of Katsuya Morishima, Shoma Kato versus Daiki Nagae and Masatura Yasuda. I hope I said that correctly.
Sound good.
Dude, by watching New Japan so often, I think I've gotten a little bit better at pronouncing names without hearing them for the first time. Please correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But it's a Young Lions tag match. So, Dante, a Young Lion system in New Japan, or really just any Japanese promotion, is basically, think of it almost as the NXT for them. Except they strip away everything about your personality that you learned from previous promotions and about your moveset. And you basically go into the Young Lion system with black trunks, black boots, and that's it. Sometimes you get knee pads, sometimes you wear elbow pads, but that's all you wear. Because
you need to save up VC to get more attire.
More or less, yeah, you got to buy VC as you go. But no, you're basically bare bones. You are there to learn. You're there to work. A lot of the times, you will see the Young Lions ringside at these New Japan Pro Wrestling matches. They're usually in T-shirts that say New Japan on it. They're like the ring guys. They're there to catch the wrestlers, make sure they're okay, take down the ring. Like, they're the guys that set everything up, take everything down, and this is their way of learning the ropes. And then when they get into the ring, they're not supposed to be the most over guy on the show, so everything is stripped away from them. The only thing Young Lions are really allowed to do is slaps, chops, suplexes, lariats, kicks if you throw it in arsenal, and their designated finishing move is often the Boston Crab. And that's really it. That's all they're allowed to do.
Interesting.
Yes.
So just the basic of the basic.
Very basic. And what's incredible about the Young Lion system is that it's very much contingent on the wrestlers themselves to find ways to kind of get themselves over, because you have very limited resources. Right. So they're not giving you have to rely on your personality. You have to rely on the fighting spirit, because you're not allowed to do promos either. So they have to find unique ways to distinguish themselves from the crowd. And a lot of the wrestlers you may have seen in New Japan or heard of went through the Young Lion system. Now, Shingo Takagi, Kenny Omega, I don't believe they went through the Young Lion system. Kota Ibushi, I don't believe went through the Young Lion system. But Tetsuya Naito, Kazuchika Okada, Hiroshi Tanahashi, Shinsuke Nakamura, they went through the Young Lion system.
That's kind of your way of like paying dues in a way.
Yes, you have to pay your dues this way. And
that's actually
one of the top guys on the card. I know you just watched this match earlier. Gabe Kidd went through Young Lion system. He was a 2019 Young Lion, like right around the time.
Not too long ago.
No, right around the time when his class, if I remember correctly, it was Gabe Kidd, Kevin Knight, Carl Fredericks, who was in NXT as Eddie Thorpe. Clark Connors, and there's another guy, Alex Coughlin, who retired, unfortunately. But then on the Japanese Young Lion side, you had Yota Tsuji, you had Yuya Uemura, Ren Narita, Shota Umino, who just main evented Wrestle Kingdom this year. He was a Young Lion back in 2017, and he main evented Wrestle Kingdom in 2025. So these Young Lions, they're in the system for some time. Like, it's not they're down there for 6, 8, 9 months. No, they're going to be down there for like 3 years. 4 years.
Wow.
Then they go on excursion for like probably another year or two, and then they come back with full personalities. So it's a long-term investment when you're watching Young Lion. It's a long-term
I've never heard of that.
Investment.
I have never heard of that before.
I watched Shota Umino wrestle for the very first time in 2018. You could only imagine how awesome and almost fulfilling it felt to see him main eventing Wrestle Kingdom 8 years after I first saw him wrestle.
Absolutely. So you're watching someone like come up in front of your very eyes, like
Exactly.
grow, like all that. That's sick. Wow, I did not know that.
So this is the Young Lion match. Also, the Young Lion matches are 10-minute time limits. If it goes past 10 minutes, then the match ends in no contest. So
Gotcha.
we don't
Okay.
have to make predictions for this because I don't know them. You don't know them.
Okay.
We're going to see what they can do. And when you watch the match, you'll be like, oh, okay, I think this guy has something. This guy's able. Like, you'll see when they start wrestling. You'll probably very distinguish and, like, figure out, okay, I like this guy.
All right,
I'm gonna
cool.
watch this guy. You know what I mean?
All right, hell yeah.
All
yeah.
right, so we open up the show now. Let's get into the actual card here. It's going to be the Bullet Club War Dogs versus the House of Torture. We have on the War Dogs side Taiji Ishimori, Chase Owens, Clark Connors, and Drilla Maloney versus the House of Torture. Representing them is Sanada, Ren Narita, Yujiro Takahashi, and X, which is usually vacant, usually going to be surprise or returning wrestler. With the Bullet Club War Dogs, Taiji Ishimori, Chase Owens, Taiji Ishimori and Chase Owens, they've been in New Japan for a long time. They're basically, you could say, designated mid-carders. At least Chase Owens is. Taiji Ishimori is a junior heavyweight wrestler who's tend to been very active in either being in the championship picture or kind of like, I don't want to say the guy that kind of puts other guys over, but he's usually there.
Okay.
Clark Connors, he, like I said earlier, he was in that Young Lion system with Kevin Knight and Gabe Kidd, so he's starting to flourish in his own right. And Drilla Maloney, I believe he and Drilla have been tag team champions before, so they have history together. Now, as far as Sanada, Ren Narita, Yujiro Takahashi, so Ren Narita, he also was in the Young Lion system in 2017, and he's been it's been a weird case for Ren Narita because in like 2020, he came back from excursion and he allied with the House of Torture. Now, are you familiar with the House of Torture, like the faction at all?
I've heard of them before, but I don't know much of like their deep history or nothing like that.
Yeah, they basically were an extension of, I want to say, was it the Bullet Club? They were an extension of a faction that was led by Evil, and many will tell you they are one of the worst parts of New Japan. Now, I have not watched New Japan in quite some time. Maybe they gotten better, but for a long stretch of time, they were one of the worst parts of the programming. They were also part of the reason why I stopped watching, because I thought it was just redundant. Think about like the Bloodline, but like interferences every goddamn match and no actual concrete fleshed out story, just interference. That was the House of Torture. Sanada is actually a former IWGP World Champion. For a very long time, he was a part of a faction with Tetsuya Naito called Los Ingobernables de Japón. Very soon, like in 2021, he left the faction. He went on to make his own faction called Just Five Guys. I missed where he joined House of Torture. This is news to me. But now he's heel and he's with them. So that's interesting. I don't currently know the history of Bullet Club War Dogs and House of Torture. So my guess, if I'm going off of basic New Japan booking, I'm going to say House of Torture because they're going to win this match. Probably with Sanada taking the victory.
Do you have any idea of who the surprise partner could be? Or is that usually like it's just a random day of type of thing? Or do people kind of get a suspense?
If you're watching the program specifically, like particularly watching the program like week to week, it probably makes more sense. But I don't. So that's why I'm like, I don't know that.
Gotcha. Okay. Fair enough. All right. You know what? I'll go against you. I'll go with the Bullet Club War Dogs because I'm not gonna lie to you. That's a sick fucking faction name. The War Dogs. I can get behind that. I'm ready to go to war with these guys. So I'll pick them.
All right. So moving on to the second match now, we have the team of El Phantasmo and Shota Umino versus Ryohei Iwa and Zack Sabre Jr., I believe, of TMDK, the Mighty Don't Deal. So, when I first saw this match, I was mind-boggled because Shota Umino and Zack Sabre Jr. were main eventing Wrestle Kingdom this year for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. And now they are second on the card in a tag team match.
Yeah, okay.
Like, what a fall from grace that these two have had. Like, what is going on here?
El Phantasmo and Umino, I've never seen either matches from either one of them. I have seen a few matches from Zack Sabre. But there are a lot of people that have suggested El Phantasmo, especially to me. So I might have to watch a few of their matches before this weekend.
Yeah, El Phantasmo is a definitely captivating, I would say, aerialist. If you're talking about earlier El Phantasmo, like 2019 when he first came into New Japan, he had already been established names on the UK indie scene. But I think he's become a little bit more grounded since then. He's kind of gone the Will Ospreay route where he's becoming a bit more heavyweight, but still keeping the aspects of being an aerialist where he can do flips and all that shit. You know how Will Ospreay goes. You watch Will Ospreay in 2019 versus Will Ospreay in 2025. Like, you can see there's not a humongous difference, but there's enough to be like you can distinguish what time period you're watching a Will Ospreay match. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah, definitely.
Shota Umino, that is my favorite, one of my personal favorites. Like, I've been watching him since I first started watching New Japan. Long-term investment, so I consider him like my own son in a way.
That's awesome.
Some will tell you that his wrestling is very decent. I think his wrestling is good. Not great, but
okay.
Zack Sabre Jr., an absolute masterful technical wrestler. Yeah. And Ryohei, I'm not super familiar with his work, I'll be honest. Now, as for this match, I don't quite know what the story is. If I had to take a gander, I'm going to say TMDK gets the victory because Zack Sabre Jr. is actually the former world champion and not Shota and not El Phantasmo. So if anybody probably is going to be more deserving of winning it more, probably to get some momentum going into G1 Climax, because don't know if you're familiar with the G1 Climax, but it is the tournament that leads into the winner facing the champion at Wrestle Kingdom. That's basically like their version of the Royal Rumble, but it's a tournament version of it. Having momentum going into that tournament is pretty important, so I think Zack Sabre Jr. benefits from it.
Okay, yeah. Going off of that logic, I think I'm gonna back you up there. I have been getting filled in a lot on the G1. Is something that I definitely want to watch this upcoming year. I have been corrected though, because to me it was like I didn't realize how long it was and how many matches. So I just started a Patreon and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna, I'll watch a full G1 on Patreon for you guys. And
I was telling you, I'm like, it's a very long tournament.
Everyone's just like, yeah, you might have to spread that out like a few months if you do that. So I'm probably getting straight away. But yeah, it's a pretty big tournament. I've come to find out.
to explain it a little bit better off for you. So the G1 Climax is a 18-day long round robin tournament. Traditionally, it was 10 men to a block, A block and B block, and each wrestler will face off against people in their block at least one time. You get a win by any means, you get 2 points. Loss, you get 0 points. If you get a DQ or a count out, you get 1 point. Time limit draw as well is 1 point.
Yeah, didn't AEW, they used that similar point system for the Continental? Yeah, right. Okay.
And basically, whoever had the most points by the end of A block and B block will be the finalists, and the finalists face off, and then the winner of the G1 Climax, like I said, faces the winner Wrestle Kingdom. Now, the G1 Climax kind of changed their format in 2022. Some compare it to a soccer league. I don't know. When I saw them change the format, I said, I'm not watching the tournament. This looks too complicated for me. So I haven't watched the G1 since 2022, but I have seen every G1 from 2018 to 2021. I watched all of them. It is a long tournament. It's 18 days normally. And with G1 Climax, the shows usually last 3 to 3.5 hours. There's the first 4 matches are tag matches that set up for the next show. And then the last 5 matches are tournament matches. So that's normally how the G1's going in the past. Like your Patreon was saying, you have to stretch it out. So if you wanted to, the best and most efficient way to watch G1 Climax is when it's actually happening. Going back in time to watch G1 Climax is basically just hectic because you really got to meticulously plan out how to watch that tournament. If you're watching it in real time, it's better to do it.
At this point, I'll just pick and choose the best matches from a G1 Climax and do it that way.
Yeah, just cherry pick from for sure. Just cherry pick.
Yeah.
But let's move on to the third match here. Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Yuya Uemura. Are you familiar with Hiroshi Tanahashi? He's basically like the John Cena, the GOAT of Japan Pro Wrestling.
You are one of many to explain him to me that way. Yes, I actually just watched his matches with Shinsuke and AJ in the finals of the G1, I believe, the
Yes.
other night. So I've just been starting to kind of watch more matches of his, but he's incredible. He's really good. He's a
Have
really
you
good
seen
wrestler.
Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Kota Ibushi from G1 Climax 28?
Not
That,
yet.
in my opinion, is
Not
one of
yet.
the greatest matches of all time. And
Okay.
I remember watching that match in real time as a humongous Kota Ibushi fan and actually being pissed at. Yo, let me not say. Never mind. Never take it back. All right. Anyway, Tanahashi is the GOAT. He's on his John Cena final retirement tour.
I was gonna say
retiring
he's
at
on a
Wrestle Kingdom.
retirement.
Yes,
He's on a retirement tour, right?
He's
Okay.
retiring at Wrestle Kingdom next year. Wrestle Kingdom 20.
Okay, gotcha.
Yuya Mura, he is from the Young Lion class of 2019 with Gabe Kidd and Kevin Knight and all of them. He has flourished into his own star. Of the people in his class, which was Yota Tsuji, and I'm forgetting some of the other names, but Yota Tsuji was mainly the one that was in his class. I feel like he's the one that's kind of needed a little bit more of a oomph when it comes to finding his strut. I don't watch New Japan that often these days, so I don't know how much he's improved. But it seems like facing Tanahashi.
I mean, if he's facing him,
that's a pretty big deal.
Gotta be something, yeah.
Now, I could tell you right now, Tanahashi is cooked. His knees are shot, and his best matches are behind him, long behind.
How old is he? How old is
Tanahashi's
Tanahashi?
like 48, maybe.
Late 40s.
He's in his late 40s, maybe creeping up on early 50s. Let me actually see.
Okay.
Quick. I'm pretty sure he's.
Yeah, no, I wasn't, because I
48.
remember 48. Okay, because I remember hearing about his retirement run and stuff like that, like months ago or so, or like when it was starting or something like that. So okay, so he's in the middle of that right now.
Yeah, unfortunately, if you want to see his best matches, you have to go 10 years,
a few years back.
Like 2020 was like the last good year for him, honestly. But that being said, this is a retirement year. He's gonna be more so putting over a lot of talent, so I think you guys are taking a win here.
I was gonna say, I was like, there's no way he loses this, right? But I guess if you put it that way, like he's putting guys out on his way out. I mean, that could be the case. That would be cool seeing that, honestly, because now that you explain that does make sense.
So one thing that's really important to New Japan and even Japanese culture, you see right underneath their name, is the records. Their stories are usually based a lot around in-ring and based off of like sports-based metrics. So it says 1-0. Like the history there is that they faced off when Yuya Mura was likely Young Lion, and when you're Young Lion, you're not beating anybody,
right? Yeah, especially Tanahashi.
You're not. That's not happening. So the story going into this is like going to be that this is Yuya's first time facing Tanahashi since he was a Young Lion, and they're going to play that up a lot. So has he improved? Is he ready to face the Ace? You know, possibly become the next Ace. So that's probably going to likely be the story going into this match. When you think about it more that way, usually when New Japan tells those stories, they tell it a lot longer term, and Yuya probably would end up losing. But I'm going to be bold and say he wins.
Okay, I kind of like that perspective. I kind of wish WWE would have taken a chapter out of that book for John Cena's retirement run, but that's okay. You know what? I'll back you up on that one, because I think that would be cool, kind of seeing someone who is considered to be one of the greatest of the promotion's history kind of going out in a way of putting over talent, especially someone that, you know, is looking to get a win over him after losing years prior and stuff. I can get behind a story like that, so I'll back you on that. I'll pick Yuya.
Yeah, well, one thing I will tell you about New Japan's booking, which annoys me sometimes, is that New Japan will tell a story of redemption, but they'll tell a story of redemption over a long period of time. So, for instance, Kazuchika Okada and Sanada had a feud stretching back several years, and Okada would beat Sanada in every match they had. And Sanada was super over. Like, don't think Daniel Bryan over, but like think LA Knight over in New Japan. Sure. And Okada would still beat him until eventually, like 5 years later, Sanada finally gets the win. But at that point, like,
it's 5 years.
You lose like 6 times.
Yeah. Facts.
Like,
yeah,
so
I get that.
New Japan is, when you see things like this, keep that in mind that if that wrestler lose, they could be telling a long-term story, but be prepared. It's about to be a long
It's
story
gonna be a long.
telling.
Long term is long term in New Japan.
Exactly.
Gotcha. Okay.
Not
All
too
right.
often you're going to see people trading wins back and forth. It doesn't happen.
Sure.
That
Okay.
often. All right,
fair
now
enough.
going into the fourth match, this is for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championships. There is a prevalent junior tag in New Japan than cruiserweights in WWE. They have the Junior Tag Team Championships. We have the defending champions of Master Wato and Yo versus House of Torture representatives Yoshinobu Kanemaru and Sho. So this is interesting because a long time ago, back when there was a group called Chaos, because Okada was the leader of Chaos alongside Will Ospreay and a bunch of other wrestlers.
I was gonna say I've definitely heard of that group before.
Yeah, Chaos. That was led by Okada.
Yeah.
Two wrestlers that were in there as a junior tag team was Yo and Sho, called Roppongi 3K. And they split apart like 4 or 5 years ago. And they've had quite some matches since then, but you know, now more so it's become kind of normal for them to have matches with each other, but it's still always cool to see them on opposing sides.
Sure.
With Master Wato, he was in that 2017, 2018 Young Lion class. He was gone for quite some time before he came back under the Master Wato character. You'd have to go back and look at Master Wato from 2019. He was not ready when he came back at all. He looked out of shape. His hair was just weird. He barely could move. But as time progressed, he just got better and better and better. And now he's kind of flourished into one of the top juniors that New Japan has. Yoshinobu Kanemaru is basically like the grizzled veteran of the division. He's been there for a long time. I don't even recall if he's ever been IWGP Junior Champion, but one of his gimmicks, and I love it, is he always brings a bottle of whiskey to him to the ring, and he'll try to spit it in a talent's face to kind of catch him off guard, if I remember this correctly. So that's kind of like a bit of a briefing on all the guys in the ring. Looking at the field, I'm going to say I hope Master Wato and Yo retain the titles.
How many members of House of Torture are there?
Off the top of my head, I don't know. Normally it ranges. New Japan factions go pretty large. They can go anywhere from like 6 to 10. So I'm going to say probably around like 6, 8 members of House of Torture.
All right. What do I want to do here? I picked Bullet Club War Dogs over House of Torture earlier. So do I want to go 50-50 booking here and give it to the House of Torture? I don't. I'm going to give it to Yo and Master. Yeah. That's what I'm going to do. Well, we'll have a little retain here. Let's do it.
Let's go. All right, so the fifth match is now for the IWGP Tag Team Championships, which you can assume is the heavyweight division. We had the team of the United Empire, Callum Newman, and the Great Okan defending their tag team championships against the team of Taichi and Tomohiro Ishii. Now, I have not watched New Japan in quite some time, so I don't recall when Tomohiro Ishii and Taichi started teaming because they've always been polar opposites from their career. So seeing this is actually incredibly fun and excites me a lot. You're familiar with Ishii, the Stone Pitbull.
Yes.
He's a fucking killer.
He's awesome. I love him, dude. That's a guy that I want like by my side. Like if I'm out at a bar and I'm getting in some trouble, like that's the guy that I want next to me. Like I'm not worried about a thing if he's with me.
Now, are you familiar with Lord Taichi at all?
I am not. No.
Okay, Taichi. I don't want to say think Ishii because he doesn't really resemble Ishii that much. The way Ishii is with his like lariats, think Taichi with kicks. Taichi's definitely like one of those Taekwondo, Muay Thai types, but more of a burlier heavyweight at the same time. Best days are
45 years old.
Best days are behind him, but he's still really good. Seeing these two team up,
Ishii's 49.
Yeah,
at an average age of 47. Let's go.
Exactly.
Let's get them out there.
They're definitely legends. Callum Newman, he is a trainee of Will Ospreay. He used to be Young Lion. He's been called up since then, so you're going to see a lot of Will Ospreay in his moveset. And Great Okan, he has been a part of the United Empire since it formed. He basically was Will Ospreay's underling. He was actually in the New Japan Young Lion system dating back to like 2015, I think.
Oh, wow. Okay.
He came back around 2020 as the Great Okan. I personally never got into him as a wrestler. I never found him appealing, but some do. Good on them. Now, who wins this match? I'm praying for Taichi and Tomohiro Ishii because this looks like such a fun tag team. I'm praying they win.
I'm gonna get behind you on that one, mostly because I don't really. I've heard of United Empire. I'm not too familiar with them though. But if I can see Ishii win gold, in my first New Japan pay-per-view that I watch, I'll be the happiest guy ever. So I'll go with them.
Exactly. All right, 6 match on a card. We had the Never Openweight Championship being defended. Konosuke Takeshita from AEW fame, you know him, you're
Big
familiar.
motherfucker.
Going
Big
up against
motherfucker.
Boltlin Oleg, who I believe just came up from the Young Lion system about a year or two ago. I'm not super familiar with his game, I'll be honest, but I know he is definitely a big motherfucker. He's nothing to slouch.
Yeah, I'm looking at his card right now. He looks like he's looks like a big motherfucker. These two look like they're gonna
Kazakhstan or something. He's nothing to slouch on. Is he?
Yeah, Kazakhstan. Yeah.
Not really. I don't. There's not a doubt in my mind Takeshi's retaining the title here. Not a doubt in my mind.
Okay.
Now the 1-1.
How long has he been champion for? How long has he held the belt for?
Won at a Wrestle Kingdom, so he's been champion for about 6 months.
Gotcha. Okay.
The 1-1 record's interesting because I don't remember Bootleg ever beating him, but that must have been when I wasn't watching New Japan. So they're tied, which means it's anybody's game. But I'm gonna go with Takeshi.
Okay. Yeah, I'll probably go to Takeshita too. One, because I'm more familiar with him, and Bolton looks like he's. It says here that he made his debut in 2023, so still new into this stuff. I'll give it to Takeshita.
Yeah, Takeshita for sure. All right, now we're getting to the top of the card, the main card. The 7th match, we have a dog collar chain match between David Finley and Evil. You gotta say
dog collar chain death match. Evil.
Exactly. Whoa. There you go. There we go. Now, David
I
Finley,
can get behind this.
Are you familiar with Finley in WWE?
Yes. Is this his
That's his son.
This is his son.
Yes.
No shit.
Yeah, he's at the Shillelagh, man.
Oh shit, that's sick. His father Finley. Wow. I thought I have heard that before, but I'll be completely honest with you. I thought it was a joke. They were just like, oh, David Finley, they're related, whatever.
No. That's his son.
That's awesome. That makes it 10 times better. Evil, I've never seen a match of his before, but I have heard of him and read up on him a lot because I do this wrestling connections on YouTube and stuff, and he comes up all the time. So I was like, I should look into this guy because he's always coming up. So I haven't seen a match of his, but I'm familiar with him.
Evil is a very, very complicated case. Okay. Quick history lesson. Evil started back in New Japan in like around the mid to early 2010s. He came into the same faction as Sonata, Los Ingobernables de Japón with Tetsuya Naito. He and Sonata were a tag team for a long time. They won the tag team championships, I believe, like 5-6 times. In 2020, Evil made it basically all the way to the semifinals of the tournament and faced Sonata in the New Japan Cup semifinals. And he turned heel in that match and basically kicked Sonata in the dick to win and went to the finals to face Tetsuya Naito. And this, people were like, what the fuck is going on? Because you would expect the heel turn to happen in the finals. It happened in the semifinals.
Damn.
So we're like, okay, not only did you turn on your partner, but technically you haven't been kicked out of the faction yet, and the match is tomorrow.
Yeah, and you still have the match.
So
yeah, and that's quick turnaround.
It was a very polarizing turnaround. So then you get to the finals, and people are throwing theories all over the place of what's going to happen because Tetsuya Naito just won the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship that same year, and people have been clamoring for him to win it. People have been clamoring for him to beat Okada. He finally gets it. But Evil literally just won a tournament, just turned heel. It's like, what the fuck do you do here? Where do you go?
Like, you kind of have. Yeah, it's like, do you give it to him? Like after all that, like. Does he win it? Yeah, that's fucking crazy.
New Japan, and I will give them credit for pulling the trigger, but they actually had Evil go over and beat Tetsuya Naito. He beats Tetsuya Naito. Not only does he beat Tetsuya Naito, but he leaves the faction and forms his own, which was the House of Torture.
Gotcha.
All this happened in the span of like 2 days.
That's wild. That's quick turnaround.
Oh wait, I actually forgot. I forgot. So the semifinals, he faced Sonata. The finals, he faced Okada and beat Okada. Then he went to the actual show, Dominion, and beats Tetsuya Naito. So he had like a crazy run. But
Yeah.
I will tell you that was the beginning of the end for New Japan, because that's when the product went down.
No.
The product went downhill after this point.
Oh
Downhill.
no.
So
Or
when people
evil.
think about like the fall of New Japan, like the weak point of New Japan, the name you're often gonna hear is Evil. Like New Japan started to suck when Evil became champion.
You just built up that whole thing. I'm like, that's so fucking sick, and you're like, that's the worst thing that could have happened to this guy.
Yes, Evil was a big part of the reason why I honestly just stopped watching New Japan.
Was this like during COVID? Like what?
Yes,
during COVID? Yeah. Okay, gotcha.
Very beginning of COVID.
Oh, hate to see that.
Now David Finley.
We're here now.
Yes, David Finley. Briefing on him. Go back in time, like almost 10 years ago. He came into New Japan with Juice Robinson, who's in AEW now. They were a tag team for a very, very long time. Juice Robinson, he kind of starts making his way out of the company into AEW. David Finley's kind of nowhere left to go. David Finley goes to, I believe, the finals of the New Japan Cup in like 2021, ends up turning heel against Will Ospreay, and he ends up joining the Bullet Club at first. Now, many people will tell you Jay White was in New Japan at that time, so David Finley, in many words, became what they wanted Jay White to be. Because once Jay White left, he was dressing like Jay White. He was acting like Jay White. They're like, oh, okay, you're not even your own person. Like, this is kind of whack.
Okay.
Now, since then, he's kind of formed his own identity, became his own person. I have not seen him wrestle much since then, but I believe he's gotten better as a wrestler. These two facing off against each other. The stipulation is the loser leaves Bullet Club. So I would be under the impression that one of these two men is a babyface now, and I would have to say between these two, it's likely David Finley, but I'm wrong. Someone in the comments can correct me. I don't know who the babyface is, but I'm pretty sure both of these men are no longer here.
Okay.
Who wins this match in this dog collar match? I'm gonna say David Finley. David Finley gets the win.
Yeah, after everything that you've told me, I don't know if I want to support Evil. I don't know if I should support Evil.
Maybe I'm gonna redemption arc. Who knows?
He might be. I'm gonna pick David Finley though. I will admit it is because now that I know that Finley is his father, I'm definitely gonna be a little bit more inclined to be a fan of his and watch more of his stuff. So I'll go David Finley. I feel like I'm backing you up on a lot here, but I'll go him.
All right, now 8th match. This is the match I am most pumped for. The IWGP Global Heavyweight Championship. Yota Tsuji goes one-on-one defending his title against Gabe Kidd. Now, these two men came up in the same Young Lion system. You had Yota Tsuji on the New Japan side, and then you had Gabe Kidd on the New Japan of America side. The reason why you see the record is 11-9-2 is because they had a lot of matches as Young Lions together. I don't know when is the last time they faced off and if that was as full-on talent, but they had a lot of matches with Young Lions, and as you can see, it benefited Yota Tsuji the most. Yota Tsuji, in my opinion, has been the best upcoming wrestler from that Young Lion system. Like, over Shota, over Narita, he's the best wrestler to come out of it. He has become a shining star. He's had some fucking banger-ass matches.
I need to watch. I'll definitely watch a few of his matches before this weekend. He's a guy that a lot of people have been telling me about.
Exactly. Now, on the opposite side, many people will tell you, and I wouldn't disagree with them entirely, that Gabe Kidd is the best to come out of that Young Lion system.
Okay. I just today watched Gabe Kidd versus Omega from earlier this year.
This is proof of that.
And I loved that match. But after I tweeted about it, a lot of people were saying that it gets worse from that point on. A lot of people actually told me that he's like overrated and stuff. So that was the only match of his that I've seen. So I can't give an opinion on it, but it was very interesting to kind of see how people were talking about him and viewing him now.
New Japan fans can be very bullish.
I don't know if you agree with that, or I genuinely
overrated. I would not go there. Now, keep in mind some of those.
He's young. He's 28.
He's
he
very
just
young.
turned 28.
He's like our age, very young. Now, bear in mind, Gabe Kidd, he was just in AEW and he started teaming with Jon Moxley, which did not correlate with his words in New Japan, which was fuck AEW, fuck WWE, and then you go to AEW. So a lot of New Japan fans don't like him because his words were incongruent.
Gotcha.
So if you see
I have heard of that.
A lot of it is from that.
Gotcha. Okay. I did see a point where people were pissed at him for doing that. I didn't really know like what it was all about, but I get it. Okay.
It's like he came in AEW, then he didn't even really do anything. So it's like, okay,
I
you
was gonna
just
say he was like hyping up the Anarchy in the Arena match, and he wasn't even a part of it,
no. I to this day
right?
I don't even understand it. I don't understand it. I don't get it. But in this match, honestly, this can go either way. I'm excited. I know they're going to just tear the roof off the place. You know, what is your prediction first? Then I'll give mine.
I think I wanna ride the Gabe Kidd train, honestly. I really loved his match with Omega. Like I walked away from that match being like, okay, that was the first like current New Japan wrestler that I feel like I watch that's like still active and stuff. Because a lot of the matches I'm watching are like guys that are older now, or like maybe they're not in the company anymore, or whatever it may be. But after watching Gabe Kidd, I was like, I feel like if I want to pick a guy to be like, all right, this is my guy, I want to like support him, follow him, it's Gabe Kidd. And then and everyone's just like, oh my God, like you're saying all this and he's not going to have a great match afterwards. But I don't care about all that. That everyone has an opinion. Wrestling is subjective. That's what makes it fun to talk about. I'm going to go Gabe Kidd. I'm going to support him. If this is my guy, I'm going to support my guy. I'll pick him to win here.
Exactly. Staying true. Then we get into the main event of the evening for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. Hiroki Goto defends his IWGP World Heavyweight Championship against Shingo Takagi. This is going to be a masterful symphony of just big, meaty men slapping meat. Now, to give you a bit of a history lesson quickly on Hiroki Goto, he has been around the block for a long while. Like, he came in around the same time that Tanahashi and Nakamura came around.
Oh, wow. Okay.
The thing about Hiroki Goto was for the longest time, he was considered like top mid-card, but never main event.
Never won the big one.
Consider where Ishii is. That's basically where Goto's been. He's the guy that you would go to for a great match, but never the guy they invested in to be the world champion. Never been that guy. Now, in the last 5 years, he ended up being in a tag team with a guy named Yoshihashi. They were a great tag team together. And then just recently, New Japan decided, hey, you know, after 15 years, why don't we put the title on this guy? And they shocked the entire landscape of New Japan Pro Wrestling by actually putting the title. Because a lot of people will tell you they didn't honestly believe for a single second that he was going to be Zack Sabre Jr. Because there have been so many title matches he's had, probably somewhere between 30 and 40, where he lost. And he finally...
Seriously?
Dude, he's been in the company for like 15 years. He's had somewhere around like 20 to 30 at least. And
that's for them to, I mean, after like 20 or so, I'd be like, hey guys, do you think we could, you know, like,
Japanese wrestlers, they'll stay true to the promotion that they're in for a long time.
Good
like,
for
Ishii's the same way. Ishii, he's a stone cold hard ass, and he's never been IWGP World Heavyweight Champion. Never.
Good. Hey, good for them. Hey, staying true to that. I mean, it led Goto to win the World Championship this year, so obviously it worked out for him.
Now, Shingo Takagi is a guy who came into New Japan in late 2018 and basically just been on fire ever since then.
Yeah.
I believe he is either a 2 or 3-time IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, main event at Wrestle Kingdom at least once. Now I think we're at the stage where Shingo Takagi is definitely considered a main eventer in the promotion. So realistically, he could beat Goto here. Now, Goto won this title, I believe, in April. So he's only been champion for like 2-3 months. So the idea of him losing it this soon, I don't really buy into that because New Japan is not known for having short-term champions.
I was going to ask you that. What's the reign length usually like?
Usually, if someone's the world champion, you could bet it's going to last about a year. About a year usually is like the minimum. Sometimes you'll have someone hold it for like 6-9 months. Very rarely do you see a transitional champion. Very rarely.
All right.
Now, Goto could be a transitional champion.
Sure.
The likelihood is a little bit slim because this is his first reign.
And Shingo, he's never won a world championship.
No, he's been champion twice.
He's been champion. Gotcha.
He won the championship for the first time in 2021. I believe he actually lost the championship to Ospreay. That was Ospreay's first world title. Was losing it to Shingo. So yeah, Shingo's been champion at least twice.
Okay.
Their record is
Gotcha.
3-1. I believe the only time they faced off has been within the G1 Climax or the New Japan Cup. So this is like their first like big main event together.
Okay.
My
Big
money,
big main event.
exactly. My money, I'm gonna say Hiroki Goto retains. I would actually be a little disappointed if this is my first time seeing Goto as a champion and he loses. I would be actually a little disappointed by that. Goto is the GOAT, but I'd be a little bit disappointed. So I'm gonna say Goto wins.
Based off of everything you're telling me, between Goto finally winning the big one this year, them not usually having transitional champions, and Shingo being a former world champion. If Shingo wasn't a former world champion, I think I maybe would be a little bit more inclined to think or lean that way. But I'll go Goto on this one because the story you're telling me, like his grinding to get to the very top here all these years later, I think that's really cool, and I'm with you. Like the first, I'll try to watch a match of his before the weekend, but if I see his first big match and him lose the belt, I feel like that'll make me really sad.
Because I know just the match to send you.
Yes, sir. Please send me a few. Send me a few.
For sure. Got to get you into the mood for what Hiroki Goto.
Send me anything you need to get me prepared for this weekend.
Off the top of my head, Hiroki Goto, Kenny Omega from G1 Climax 26. Off the top of my head, the finals of that tournament, fucking awesome. But there's definitely some things I'll send you.
I'll know what I'm watching tonight.
But yeah, that is our predictions for Dominion happening this Sunday. I believe the show is going to be at 3 a.m. Eastern time.
Ooh, bright and early. Get your coffee ready.
It's been a while since I woke up early in the morning for a New Japan show, but I'm here. I'm ready. Me and Dante will be doing it. I will be live on my Twitch page watching the show. Dante will be alongside with me. I'm very excited for this show. And Dante, I know you are too. Without further ado, we'll send you all on your way, guys. So, I want you guys do me a favor, comment down below and let me know your predictions. Who do you think is going to win? What match you most excited for? All right. It's Mario, Dante. Thank you for coming on. We'll talk more soon on Sunday.
Sir.
See you soon, guys.